Welcome to the Manifestation Babe podcast. My name is Catherine Zinkina, and I'm a manifestation expert, master mindset coach, and multiple seven-figure entrepreneur. I'm obsessed with helping you achieve everything that you once thought was impossible. If you're looking to massively up-level your life, your finances, your relationships, your productivity and success, then you have come to the right place. My goal in this podcast is to help you see the infinite potential within yourself to be, do, and have anything that your heart desires. Think of this podcast as your weekly dose of mindset development to help you maximize who you are and where you're going. Leave it to me to provide you with the tools, the resources, the strategies, and teachings that you need to manifest a reality wilder than your wildest dreams. I know we're about to have so much fun together, so thank you so much for pushing play today. And now let's begin. Hello, my gorgeous souls, and welcome back to the Manifestation Babe podcast. So I'm currently on my way to the beautiful Maldives with my mom and my husband, Brennan. And I just wanted to make sure that this episode went out while I was gone because it's just too important and way too good to wait until I got back. Today, I got to interview the beautiful Jordan Bone, a motivational speaker, author, and life coach who experienced a very traumatic car accident at the age of 15 that left her paralyzed from the chest down. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but all I want to say is that Jordan is a very, very special soul here on this planet. She has inspired me like no other and taught me so much about disabilities and how they impact people's lives, both positively and both negatively. She has gone on quite a journey of loving herself again, loving her body again, manifesting her dream life in the process, and raising awareness about disabilities for people who are privileged to be able-bodied and just don't understand. It's a powerful episode, and I know you babes are going to absolutely love it. So without further ado, Jordan Bone. Thank you, Jordan, so much for coming on the Manifestation Babe podcast. I am so stoked to have you on here because even though we have only had such a short Instagram convo with one another before scheduling you on the podcast, because I immediately was like, Jordan, you have to come on here. I just want to let you know that you have made such a major impact on me in terms of like my gratitude for life and the attitude that I show up with every single morning. It's just like, you've completely changed my perspective. And I just wanted to first and foremost, thank you for that so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Catherine. That literally just makes my day. Honestly, that is just so lovely. And I'm just so grateful to be here. So thank you so much for asking me to come on. I appreciate it.
I will literally never forget the morning that I woke up where I was just such a grump. Like, I don't even know what happened, but I remember waking up in the morning and just feeling so upset about something. And I remember you tagged me because I think you were listening to a podcast of mine, like an episode of mine, and you tagged me and I was like, oh, who is this chick? Because I love to check out the people that tag me. And I go on your profile and I just literally 2 minutes of scrolling and I was like, wow, if she has this beautiful like perspective of life and she has such a great attitude and she has so much gratitude, like what the frick am I so grumpy about? And I just remember instantly, just like your presence, your energy, like I don't even think I read anything specific. It wasn't like a specific post. It wasn't like a specific story. It was just like being on your Instagram account. I just received this instant shift of like, Catherine, there's more to life than whatever the fuck you're grumpy about. So, that was amazing for me. Jordan, you are one of my favorite people to follow for like self-love, for personal growth, for positivity. But I know you had quite a journey that you've been on to get here, to get to where you are today. So can you please share with us some background information, as deep as you want to go? Can you share with us the background story of how you really grew into the version of yourself that you are today?
Absolutely. It's definitely been a wild ride, that's for sure. Life has taken so many twists and turns, and it does for everyone, of course. But mine have been so dramatic that I'm just, so grateful to be where I am today. So when I was 15 years old, I had a car accident, and I was just a normal 15-year-old. I had been bullied a bit, so I'd been going through the tough time of being bullied. And then I finally found new friends and finally felt happy and content with where I was. I was 15, and then I had a car accident. And in the car accident, I was laid upside down in the car. I woke up because I became unconscious at first. And I woke up, started to drift in and out again, and I saw a white light. And I was like, oh my gosh, I know I can't die. I'm 15 years old. And I said, I've got so much to do. And those words, even now about myself, give me goosebumps and make me tear up, because I'm like, in that moment at 15 years old, my higher self spoke to me. And I didn't realize it was my higher self at that point, but now I know it was.
Were you spiritual at that time?
It's funny because I didn't think I was. I didn't think so, but I look back at old photos and there's I have little pictures of spell books, and I had an altar, and I didn't even realize it was an altar. I had candles, crystals, spell books from when I was about 13. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I think it was always ingrained in me to be spiritual, but I didn't really realize it. As it is with all of us. We just some people don't realize it sometimes. So I was in the car and I was drifting in and out, and that white light came, and I just felt this power come over me, and it was, you need to stay alive, really. And I started singing I did sing it, but it probably was a whisper because I was caught up in a seatbelt upside down in a car singing You've Got the Love by Candy Staten. Is that how you say her name? Because, yeah. And so I was singing You've Got the Love. And as I was stuck in this car, and then I'm still here, so I'm still alive. And I was pulled out of the car after a couple of hours. And as I was being pulled out, I was like, I know I'm paralyzed.
Wow.
And at this point, my mum was there. My mum got called down. My sister, who was only 3 years old at the time, was there as well. They all came down. I was in a car with some people a best friend, and a guy was driving, and his brother. But my mum came down, and she said to the paramedics, she's saying she can't move and she's paralyzed. And they said it's probably her body in shock, because that can happen when you're in such a bad accident. But no, I knew straight away, my intuition was right. I'm paralyzed. I was then taken to my local hospital. I had a halo drilled into my skull. And then I was on bed rest for a long time, month maybe, completely flat with a halo drilled into my skull. I was then taken 3 hours away from home to a place called Sheffield, to a spinal unit. And I was there for 5.5 months. And in that time, I was in so much pain. I can't even, when I talk about it, I feel like I'm talking about someone else, because it's like an out of body experience. Because although I had that out of body experience with that white light, I feel that even that time was an out of body experience, because it was such a bizarre time. And, being in hospital, I thought, well, when I leave hospital, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be able to do things. Yes, I may have to sit in a wheelchair, but I thought I'd be able to do everything as normal. I didn't know about spinal cord injuries. I had no idea that I wouldn't be able to dress myself. I would need personal assistance to help me get dressed, to get out of bed, to help me do anything in life, anything. But I didn't realize that. So after the struggle of being in hospital, I then came home. At 15, all I wanted to do was be home. I was just like, I need to see my friends. I need to go home. So that was my main goal. And I got home, and over a period of time, I lost friends, and it was just really hard, because people, I think because of the age, they were scared of the injury. And it was like they were scared of me. And I'd obviously had issues in the past with a bit of bullying. And so people had always been a little bit strange with me that was my story. I would tell myself, like, I didn't fit in. So a couple of years went by, and I then became majorly depressed, because I just couldn't see where my life would take me. I didn't think I would be able to achieve anything. I remember sitting in my bedroom just thinking, I want to die. And I find that really ironic, because when I was in the car, I was fighting to do anything to live, even though I knew I was paralyzed. My higher self knew the outcome. And but a couple of years later, I was like, I don't want to be here. I can't do this. I can't be who I want to be. But that was until I discovered guided meditation. So I was actually looking up UFO videos on YouTube. I was like, let's look at UFO videos. Anytime I do that, something major happens in my life. And it's like, okay. So I was looking at UFO videos, and the next video was a guided meditation.
And this is while you were 15 or some time later?
No, sorry. This is 5 years later. So this was when I was 20. Wow. So that kind of period of time between 15 and 20 was a blur, because although I remember it all, of course, it was very up and down, and it was very hard. And that was in the moment of time when I had the really bad depression, and I just told my mum I wanted to die. But yeah, until I discovered guided meditation, and my mind was blown. I was like, how have I not tried this before? Wow. And suddenly I just realized that, wait, I've still got a life. I've got a second chance at life. It's now up to me to make it as good as I can, despite these struggles. These struggles will not go away, but I am not my struggles. So I was striving to just, feel good and feel happy. And, it's still been I'm now 30, almost 31. It's been an up and down ride, but I feel like even in this past year, I've really embodied self-love, because I've been through relationships that didn't work. I've been through friendships that I've lost as well. I've been through just, I also, which was really funny, well, not funny, but, I had a scare when I was 20, when I first discovered meditation, that I had a melanoma on my leg. And I was like, what next? What else is going to happen? But at the time, because I discovered meditation, I just was like very calm about it. And I was like, this is going to be okay. And thank God that I was, but it was just, I found out that information at a good time, really, because if it was a couple of months before, I probably would have had, melted down about it.
Yeah. But, wow.
That's a bit, I feel like I give a lot of information there.
No. I am so in this story. I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes, because it's really why I wanted you to come on the podcast, is because, something that stuck out at me that I took notes on. I literally wrote, kids were scared of you. Like they just didn't know how to interact around you. They probably didn't know what to ask you, didn't know what to say to you. Cause I know that something that's really come up in 2020, a lot of these social justice issues are at the forefront right now. And it's something I've noticed is that a lot of people are afraid to ask certain questions because we're so afraid to offend one another, and we're so afraid to communicate around each other's differences and ask questions like, what makes you different? What makes me different? How can we come together even though we are different? And one thing that really sticks out to me is I'm curious to ask you, that those were kids, but I feel like there are, as an adult, there are adults out there who are still scared of you in terms of what do I ask you? Am I going to offend you if I ask this question? Am I going to offend you if I ask that question? Can I ask about this? And that's something that really came up for me because, when I was 6 years old, this is such a minor thing, but when I was 6 years old, I got into I don't know how this happened, but somehow I tripped over carpet and landed on a bench and split my lip. And I had to have 30 stitches. And I remember going to school, and every single kid for the next 10 to 15 years of my life, every single day I would get asked the question, what happened to your lip? 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 And it just drove me insane. And I can only imagine the kind of questions that you get. Do you find yourself still struggling with that, where a lot of people, especially who are able-bodied, that they just don't know how to interact with you. They just don't know what to ask you.
Absolutely. It's funny. It's one extreme or the other. It's either I'll be out having a really great time and someone will just say, what happened? So they want all my information, and then they'll walk away. And it's wow, I'm not here just to make you feel good. I'm going to I'm out with my friends having a cocktail or, having dinner. And it's very weird that people can just think they can ask that. But of course it comes up in conversations. And I think it's normal for that to, if it didn't up in a conversation, it would be strange. But I think for people to walk over and just simply think that they have right to ask you everything about your life in one sentence is a little odd. But then you'll get the other people who don't want to say anything to you and will ask their friends to ask you something, or they just will stare at you. And it's like, wow, I think the thing is, everyone is different. Some people will be offended, some people won't be offended by certain things. And I think, I am pretty okay with it. I just know that some people wouldn't be okay with someone just saying what happened and then leaving. I can't imagine, if someone said that to me on the first day I left hospital, that would have been heartbreaking for me, because I would have been like, wow, I am Jordan, not just Jordan who's in a wheelchair. Whereas it sometimes feels like that's all people see. And like you said about your lip, it must have felt like, oh, is this the only thing people can see right now?
Yeah.
And it's like, there's so much more that could be asked, but I do think questions need to be asked. I think the thing is, people with disabilities just aren't represented enough and are not seen enough. And the world the world is pretty inaccessible a lot of the time for people who are in wheelchairs. And so people aren't used to maybe seeing so many people around and doing things, because a lot of people who have disabilities may be worried to do stuff because it's inaccessible. There may not be a bathroom, there may be steps into the venue. And it's like, but we need to go out into the world so people see us, so we're just seen as normal and not like just something that is like rare and just we are here to be seen. We need to be seen and heard. And I hope when I post on Instagram and all that stuff, that I can help people be seen and heard.
Yeah, that's such a great point that you just made that I never thought about. And it's such a great point. Like, the world is inaccessible, so of course people with disabilities are not going to be seen as much in certain places, and so therefore we don't see them as much, and we haven't normalized them. And as you mentioned, like, they are all people. We're all people, and we all are worthy, and we all deserve to have access to whatever it is that we desire to have access to. I never really thought about it that way. So thank you for that perspective.
Yeah, no, it is so important to just, I really feel like it's important for me to represent some, people, because I am still Jordan. Like I said, I am Jordan who needs a wheelchair, but I'm not Jordan, the wheelchair girl. I am Jordan. And there's more to it. Like, my wheelchair is actually amazing because it helps me to get around. If it wasn't for this, I'd be stuck in bed or on the couch, So I'm grateful for this.
Yeah. You must have had such a journey with self-love, and you're very passionate about self-love. And a post that you posted the other day, I actually reposted, and it was something about like disabled bodies are also sexy and worthy and beautiful. And I love that you're spreading awareness about that. Can you just share a little more about your journey with self-love? Like, what was that like for you? And at what point did you learn to love your new body?
Mm-hmm. I think it's about it. I think with my self-love, it's about loving my soul first, and loving who I truly am. Because
that's beautiful.
I feel like there's a moment in time where I just was like, I really love who I am. I'm a really good person, and I would do anything for anyone. I know my worth, and I now know my boundaries. And I think that is super important. I've been in relationships that weren't great. And in those times, I used to lose myself a little bit and dim my own light by not doing things that lit me up, but maybe would do things that would light them up. And when I got out of relationships that didn't serve me, I then realized that actually I am great just as I am. And I'm like, I don't need someone to tell me my worth. I can tell myself that I am amazing, because I know that I'm a good person. I know that what I stand for is, for everyone to just live their best life. So why should I not love myself? It definitely has been a journey though, because, I feel like I have body confidence, but sometimes I don't have confidence in my body. Well, every single moment of my day, actually, I do not have confidence in my body because, I'm paralyzed from the chest down. I can't even move my fingers. So it's like, I can't control if my leg has a spasm, or if my skin is a bit sore because I've been sitting on it all day. I then have to spend time in bed. There's something called autonomic dysreflexia, which is really, really dangerous, and not a lot of people know about it. So I think it's good that I mention it. And it's when your body is in pain below their level of injury, you can actually have a heart attack or stroke. Well, I deal with autonomic dysreflexia symptoms every single day, because if I get a bit uncomfortable, it causes like sweating, and that's a symptom. Like, Jordan, your body's talking to you. It's a bit like how your intuition talks to you. My body's trying to get a signal through to tell me something's wrong. So I have body confidence, but I don't always have confidence in my body. I can't rely on it so much. So I have to rely on how I talk to it, how I nourish it, how I love myself, and how I treat myself is key to my self-love. And making sure I do all my practices like meditation, thinking of what I'm grateful for, and all the things I actually have achieved in my life. And, the biggest thing I've achieved is staying here. So, and actually the biggest thing all of us have done in life is actually get on planet Earth, because it's so rare to be alive, right? Like, it's so rare. And I think it's a great reminder.
I think they say it's like something like one, I don't know, there's an actual equation, like someone actually pulled the math of the chances of us being here. It's like 1 in something, something, something billion, no, trillion. It's like trillion or zillion or something like that. I don't know. I don't even know if we have the numbers to explain that, but you're so right. And wow, I can't stop thinking about like that moment when you were the polarity between like the moment when you were fighting to stay alive and your higher self was saying, no, you still have a purpose. You still have a purpose. And then the polarity between that and the darker days that you've had, I'm sure you still go through dark times. I'm sure this is like a journey for you, and not every single person is perfect and has like great days every single day, right? Like we all have bad days, but it's just like so amazing to hear from someone who's literally had a near-death experience and then is here to share that story, but also talks about how there are moments in which like you don't want to be here, right? And just like how you've developed practices to encourage yourself, and you use that energy of encouraging of yourself to also encourage others. I'm curious, what are some of your favorite practices? Like, I know you talk about meditation, but like, what are some other self-love, self-care, or mindset practices that you practice yourself and also teach others?
I love writing gratitude lists. I think it's so key first thing in the morning to write a gratitude list, because we take the small things for granted. The small things are actually the biggest things, in my opinion, because when like my ability to walk and move my fingers and all the other stuff that comes with it were taken away, that was something I was never grateful for in the past, because I just got up every morning and jumped in the shower and got myself dressed. But that made me realize that, wow, the things I can do now, I'm so grateful for. The fact I have a roof over my head, I'm so, so grateful for. And it just makes me feel good. I love listening to high vibe music. I've got a high vibe playlist on Spotify, and I try and look for all the songs that were at Tony Robbins, because I went to Tony Robbins Date with Destiny. And I was like,
I saw those pictures.
yeah. And I was like trying to find all the music for it so I can like pump up pull my arms in the air. Like, that's my version of dancing. I still dance, guys, even in a wheelchair. I'm usually first on the dance floor back when we could go out in the world. So yeah, I like to write a gratitude list. I love to, like I said, move my body. And that sounds strange, but I can move what I can move. And the parts of my body that I can't move, I make sure that my assistants do like leg stretches, because I need to keep myself as fit and healthy as possible. And that is self-love for me. But getting out in nature, just connecting with nature and just feeling the energy of nature that it has to give us. Oh, there's so many things I love to do. And I really love to go places. I know you're in LA. I love LA so much. It was actually a dream of mine to get to California when I first had my accident. But for some weird reason, I was so nervous and I couldn't bring myself to go. And then back in 2018 was the first time I went. And I just was like, oh, and I went last year again for my 30th birthday. And I was just like, I love it so much. And so doing things for myself that, you know, out of my comfort zone, but I know are going to be really good for me and just have fun and just feel good. That's the main thing for me with self-love. It's just doing things that make you feel good. But those small practices each day, like gratitude, journaling, movement, nature, they may be small, but they make a massive impact into your life, along with meditation, of course.
I love that it doesn't have to be complicated. And I love that you mentioned so many practices that are accessible for any single person. They don't involve money. They don't involve like hiring a coach. They don't involve like having to go to another location. Like you can just step outside and experience nature, or you can just sit in your bedroom or anywhere, a kitchen, wherever you want to sit and just write your gratitude list. I think that's so crucial to have those practices that are accessible at any moment of the day. So that's really awesome.
Yeah. And I think, you know, especially if someone has an injury like mine, or they've just had an injury, or they're in a situation where they feel really low and they can't bring themselves to go to do something, you can even close your eyes and think of the things you're grateful for, even if you can't physically write. You can bring up a memory in your mind of something that made you feel good, because we can bring happiness into our lives at any moment of time. It's just a state of being, isn't it? So we can close our eyes, think of some time that made us feel really good and be happy. Because, you know, so many of us, we always say, oh, you know, some people may say, what do you want to be? And a lot of people say happy. It's like, you can be happy right now. Let's
Yeah.
think of something.
Oh my God, that's such an important distinction. A lot of people think happiness is a goal when it's actually a state. And you can access, like, I think you're in Reese's NLP training too, right? Yeah. So we talk about like anchoring and how there's a difference between like a state and a goal, and how a lot of people have, like, for instance, even something like, I want X amount of dollars. Well, why do you want those dollars? To feel free. Okay, freedom is a state and you can feel that right now. And all you have to do is, as you said, as Jordan said, like close your eyes and imagine a time in your life when you felt free, and you can step into it and you can see what you saw, hear what you heard, and really feel the feelings of that freedom. And it's accessible to all. So I love, love, love that. Jordan, something I wanted to bring up. I was watching one of your videos where you were doing your makeup, and it was so inspiring. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing when I do my makeup. So it's really cool to see you. You know, you don't have very much ability to use your hands, but yet you figured out your own style to apply makeup. And it's like, you are such a talented makeup artist. And I know makeup is such an important aspect of your life. I'm super curious, was makeup something you always loved, like even before your accident? Or is this something that you picked up after your accident as like a way of expressing yourself?
Well, I always loved it. And when I was in hospital, like I couldn't do anything at first. And I remember my mum trying to put some mascara on me, and I was like, it's not enough. It's not what I look like normally. This isn't me. Obviously, I didn't understand the value of who I am naturally at that point. I've grown into that now. I can be without makeup. I can be with full glam. It's like, whatever. I'm all or nothing these days. But I loved it. And so that was one of my goals that I wanted to do, was to be able to do my own makeup, because I felt like that is the Jordan that I'm putting out to the world. That is, you know, what I enjoy. And it was creative. And one day, actually, I used to have a strap around my hand to use a fork. And there was a guy next to me at the nurse's station, and he had lost his, and his injury was a tiny bit worse than mine. And I was like, I gave him my strap. But that ended up being something so great for me, because that made me think, okay, if I've given him my strap, I can perhaps put mascara on. So I was like, oh, can I hold a mascara wand? So I was like, I would try and I would try and I would try. And took me so long, and I couldn't really do it at first, but I kept going and I kept going. And I just one day could do it, and I mastered it. And the nurse would be like, oh, Jordan's practicing her makeup again. And I'd keep practicing. And that was just mascara. And it developed over the years. And then people would start to ask me on YouTube, because I started YouTube back in 2010. That was when I had my awakening, and I would talk about being a light worker, and I talk about all things positivity. So funny when I look back at the videos, because I'm just so like, I seem so different. It's funny. I'm so unconfident, but I'm just trying. And people kept asking me about my makeup, and I have no idea why, because back then it was pretty terrible. But then I started to do makeup videos on YouTube, because that is kind of I thought, oh, well, this is something that I enjoy. I'm going to do what I enjoy. So yeah, after that, I started to do makeup tutorials. I've moved away from that now, but that was just a moment in my life that ended up being such a moment that was important because it gave me confidence and it gave me opportunities as well. I did create a video called My Beautiful Struggle, and because of that video, because it went viral at the time, it led me to other opportunities. And that felt like that needed to happen. It really did. But now I've kind of grown through that now. And I'm like, okay, how can I help people further? So makeup's great.
Yeah.
I want to help people directly now.
Yeah, it's like the gateway for you. It's like the gateway drug of like, first I'm going to help people with something that I had to like figure out for myself. And then now it's like, let's go a little deeper than that. But I love that. I watched your video. I started crying, of course, in the beginning when you were struggling to put on your mascara. I just like, I felt that frustration. I felt that emotion. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful video. And I know it went viral, which is so awesome. And it's called My Beautiful Struggle for those of you guys who want to check it out. And you also have a book called My Beautiful Struggle, which I ended up buying. And I'm going to dive into it when I travel this upcoming weekend to Sedona again. So I'm bringing it with me and I'm so excited to dive into it. What was that journey like for you to get like, to have a book published about your story?
I mean, that was definitely a manifestation because for years I would sit on my laptop just thinking, I really want to write a book. I need to write a book. And I would write little sections on my notes and it just never kind of went anywhere. Then because I had the video, I then ended up getting management and they helped me find a publisher who was so excited to do the book. And I was like, wow. And it was a real whirlwind because it happened super fast. And I was like, wow, now I have a book. Okay. But that was such a lovely thing to have something. I mean, I want to write a second one now because that feels like quite a while ago. That was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was such a I was so blessed to be able to do that. But it was so funny because at the time I wrote the book was coming out. There was like 4 weeks until the book was being published, and me and my partner at the time ended up breaking up. And I was like, oh, this is really bad timing. Like, wow, thank you, universe. Like, what is this? But it ended up being a really great thing. But I just wanted to say that because a lot of the time we can think someone's going through a really great time, but they may be dealing with something else as well. That's something, someone's life may look so beautiful and amazing and magical. And someone may be doing something that you would desire to do. Just know that they're human and things are happening behind the scenes as well.
That's such a great point. Have you seen the Paris Hilton documentary yet?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
I watched it twice and it just goes to show you like we see flashing lights, we see private jets, we see parties, we see this, we create our own narrative. In fact, I did a fun experiment with my husband. So I always knew like intuitively that there's, I've done this work for like years and years and years. So now I can look at most people and be like, all right, there's some trauma playing out here. There's a deeper story. There's more to this person. But I just like, I asked my husband like, hey, what do you know about Paris Hilton? Because I watched a documentary like during the day. And then he came home from like working out or something, or I don't remember where he was. And I asked him, we went out to dinner and I was like, what do you think of Paris Hilton? What do you know about her? And he just started listing out all these things that how most people would see her. And I was like, let me show you this documentary and then I'm going to ask you this question again. And he's like, okay. So we watched this documentary and I swear to God, I saw the man cry. And he's like, wow, oh my God, this is so sad, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, okay, Brennan, what is your perspective of Paris Hilton now? And he's like, yeah, there's so much more to every single person. And this is why it's so important. Like, I'm just so over this like cancel culture thing and like calling people out because we're all going to make mistakes. People make mistakes, but we just don't know the deeper levels to people. And we are not in any position, guys, whatsoever. If you're a human being, you're in no position to ever look at someone as if you know their full story. So I love that you bring that up.
Absolutely. Like judgment doesn't serve anyone.
No, not at all. Jordan, what is some advice that you would give to somebody who is currently dealing with a similar situation to yours? Like maybe either they were born disabled or maybe they endured a disability later on in their life and they're really struggling and they just can't seem to find the light. Like what would be your wisdom for those people?
Firstly, I just want to say you are amazing. You're listening right now. Just know your worth, that you are still here and you deserve the best life. Honestly, guys, like, if there was, I could just hug you all because I know that it's hard, but it's so worth it. And you are worth it. And you just, it will still be hard. Like there, for me, I talk about the shadow side a lot because at first I didn't. And then it's been this year I've discovered that the shadow is so important.
Yeah.
And that shadow can sometimes make us realize that there's, like you said, there's deeper things to people, there's deeper situations. So if there's something keeping you down, find the actual root and rewrite that story, guys. You are not your disability. You have so much to offer the world, and let the world see you. If you have a goal, see how you can achieve it. There's always a way, and life may be hard. You may need someone to help you with it, but do you know what? You have a gift, and that is you. We are all unique. Just be you and just keep going, guys. Like, honestly, it's difficult, like I said, but it's just worth it. You are a light. You're a light being, and you are here to bless the earth in your own way.
That is so beautiful. And on the other hand, what advice would you give to people who are either have like a family member or a friend who's gone through a similar situation to yours, or maybe people who don't necessarily, like, they're able-bodied and they want to be more inclusive and they want to be more supportive of those disabilities, but they just don't know how? What would be some of your advice to those people of how we can better support those who have been marginalized or excluded or just don't feel like they're part of our society?
Yeah, that's a massive thing. Because, if you have someone in your life who has got a disability, make sure you reach out to them. Make sure you invite them to things. Make them feel included, because I know you may love them, but sometimes it's easy to be forgotten about. And because, everyone gets on with their own lives. Everyone's busy, but it takes 2 seconds to reach out and send a text. If you're having a gathering with your friends, make sure you invite them too, because, sometimes I don't get invited places, and it can be a bit disheartening. And it's like, because people will think, oh, well, she'll need someone to help her. It's like, but at least ask them.
Yeah.
I think it's about asking. Even if they can't go, at least you've made the effort, and see how you can help. Because if they're in your life, they deserve to be in your life. And everyone, it deserves to have a good life. So, and if you have questions, ask the questions that you want to ask, but be respectful. It's not about not asking anything. When I said earlier about when people walked over to me and just say, what happened? Like, it seems rude, but questions need to be asked so people understand, but just ask in a respectful way. And don't be shy to talk to people, because everyone's human and we're all just, on this journey together, and we need to support one another. We're more connected than we ever think. We don't realize. So I think it's just about asking questions intelligently and kindly and respectfully, and just helping people be part of society, because like I said, we're all human.
I just want to reiterate something that you said, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just paraphrasing something that you said at the beginning of this episode, which is something like, I'm a soul first and foremost, or I take care of my soul first and foremost. And I think that's such a great reminder for all of us to see the soul that person is. And if we just take a moment to be like, this is a soul, this is a spark of life, this is the entire universe conspiring into their human form, whatever that form comes in, I just think that we would have such a different approach to each other and such a different approach to life. And it would just be a different world,
It really would. And, sometimes disabled people can maybe seem like the vulnerable or the weaker ones of society, but a lot of the time, well, you've got to be strong to, it's you're strong living this life sometimes.
Yeah, I would say much stronger, because it's like the mental, the emotional, the physical challenges, like that's like the biggest kind of strength that you can develop, is like, I can only imagine just like what skills and like mental, emotional, even physical skills that you have developed. Like the way that you do your makeup is different, right? Like there's so many things that you've had to shift. You have to have changed your neurological connections in every single aspect. And I think that makes you way stronger. I think that gives you like a whole nother level of wisdom in this life. And I am just so excited for how far you go and how many people you inspire and your next book and all the stages you're going to speak on as soon as we can open the stages again. Like I'm just so stoked for you, girl.
Oh, thank you. I think for a lot of people, it's really key to say that acceptance is a massive thing. And, I've accepted what happened to me. So I don't think about my disability like all day, every day, although it is part of my all day and everyday life. And I think if anyone's struggling, like one of the big things to do is accept who you are and work on you first, because that will really help. I felt like I needed to say that because it literally, my ears were ringing. I get a lot of my ears ring a lot, like a download. So I felt like, okay, I'm just going to say that.
Yes, I love it. I get either goosebumps or just like butterflies in my stomach. I don't really get my ears ringing, but it's really funny because I do hear things. Like I do have a little bit of clairaudience, but then like randomly while I'm doing like my makeup or something, I'll just get ringing in my ears, but it's not really connected to anything. So I'm still like, feel like I'm going through soul school still. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I just started soul school. I'm curious, what are some of your like spiritual practices? Like I know you're big on manifesting, you're big on law of attraction, you're big on sharing that with others. I know that you have like tarot readings and oracle readings and stuff that you do on YouTube. Like what are some of your fun spiritual practices?
I love pulling angel cards and tarot cards and oracle cards. It's my favorite. I love it. It's so fun, but it's so funny because like I love doing it for other people. Then when it's for myself, I'm like, sometimes it's nice to have someone else do it for you. But every day I pull one and I just love doing that and I love the confirmations you get from the universe because when something happens and it's just that reminder of, wow, it's so magical. So I recently did my Reiki level 2, so I can now do distance Reiki on people. And I had to do a 21-day cycle where you have to heal yourself for 21 days with Reiki energy. And every day you work on a different chakra. And I got to the heart chakra and I did my healing. And then I went to pull an angel card. And in this deck, there's like 52 cards and there's no chakra cards. There's one chakra card though. There's one chakra card. And the day I did my heart, I pulled and the heart chakra card came out.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the next week it did the same. And I was like, wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you, universe. And then there was another time I was working on my solar plexus and I had some crystals like beside me. I just reached for one. I was like, oh, this one feels aligned. I'm holding this. Afterwards, I Googled the properties because I know a lot about crystals, but there's so many, you forget some things. And it was to do with the solar plexus. And I was like, wow, again, universe, thank you for that support and that clarification that this is really, really connected. And it is all, it's real,
100%. What is your do you have like a manifesting process or like what's your personal manifestation style? Like how do you see manifestation?
So I like get myself obviously in a really good mood. So I like to put my high vibe Tony Robbins music on and dance around the kitchen a bit. And then I like to just script it out, just write out how I see things like thank you, universe, blah, 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 blah. And just visualize that coming into fruition. And then just really like being like, okay with that. Like that's going to happen. Let it go and just let it go. Although, some things are harder. Some things you're like, I really desire this. And it's like, let it go.
Yeah. You just build up all this. Like, it's like you're slowly building up your own like resistance to it just by making it such a big deal in your mind. And you have to remind yourself like, no. Like this is all possible. Mm-hmm. And it's all normalized. And I can't make this one a big deal because the bigger of a deal I make it, the more resistance I'm going to build up to it. So it's like, I totally get it. I'm also curious, like, what is one of the coolest things you've ever manifested? Like something that is either the coolest or the weirdest or the most exciting or the most life-changing?
Well, actually, it was probably going to Tony Robbins. because it was really funny, because the first time I went to LA, this is more of it is a manifestation, because I always wanted to go to Tony after seeing him on Netflix,
Yes.
you know, and that was quite a few years ago. And well, yeah. So I was like, oh, I would love to go to that. And I was like, oh, I don't know, but I'd love to go. So I then go to LA, and one day I go to Malibu, and this was such a strange synchronicity, because I was having a really nice time with my friends. And then I ended up seeing this guy on a pier, and he was reading a book about energy healing. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. I'd had a couple of cocktails. So I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go say hi. So I go to this guy and start talking to him, and he starts talking about Tony Robbins. And I was like, wow. And he's like, it turns out he was from London as well, and I'm from the UK. So I was like, this is crazy. Like, there's no one else here, just us, and my friends, obviously. So yeah, and then he was like, we would message afterwards, and he got me a little bit of a discount, and I was like, wow. And so I ended up being able to go to Tony Robbins in West Palm Beach. And for me, that would have been such a big thing before, because, you know, I needed to have my personal assistants be able to come, sort out their home lives. Yet it worked out perfect. And we got there, and the first person I see as I get out the taxi was the guy from Malibu. And I was
way.
like, yeah. And that, I mean, it's not necessarily, you know, a great manifestation, but it was just amazing. Like, wow, these synchronicities, it's like, this is supposed to happen. Like, wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And I just felt so grateful that the universe kind of put me and this guy in conversations with each other, because it really led me down the path of even more self-love, because going to Tony Robbins really shifted a lot for me. It was amazing, even though it's freezing and tiring.
Destiny is like hell. It's like frozen hell on earth. I remember I don't know, someone had a temperature gauge. I don't know how, but I remember someone in my group, which is funny because this is something we connected on too, which was that we were part of the exact same group at Date with Destiny, the manifestors, of course.
Yeah.
And I think I went 1 year before you. You went in 2018, right?
Yeah. That's so funny though, isn't it?
It's so wild. I went 1 year before, and I just remember someone was taking the temperature in the room, because we're like, how cold is it? What is wrong with this room? It was 51 degrees Fahrenheit, which I know for you it's Celsius. I don't know Celsius, so I'm sorry. I can't convert it. But it was
cold.
It was really cold. And we're like, God damn, like this is insane, but so worth it, because Date with Destiny, for those of you guys, like I think he's doing a virtual one this year. So literally there's no travel involved. If you guys can get to Date with Destiny, or like UPW if you haven't been, but Date with Destiny, it shifted a lot for me too. It was one of the most like pivotal moments in my business actually that I inspired, where I let go of my entire team. It was just like crazy, like so many shifts that where I was able to come home and be like, this isn't serving me. That isn't serving me. This isn't serving me. My intuition kept speaking to me and telling me like, that's not serving you. That's not serving you. This is going to get ripped out of your life. You have to get rid of this. And I'm like, oh my God, buckle me up, because I'm going for a ride that I'm not ready for. And it was just like going from even 2017 to 2018 was just so shifting. And yeah, it's amazing. I love that we can relate to Date with Destiny and of course the manifestors.
That's so funny. I love that. But it's just so shifting, isn't it? And you just feel so empowered, like you don't mind saying the things that you really need to say. And it's like, who is this person? Where have I come from? I'm being me right now, the true me.
Yes. So, oh my God. I love it. Well, Jordan, thank you so much. Like you are such an inspiration. And for those of you who want to find out more about you, who want to get your book, watch you on YouTube, wherever you show up, can you just share some of the places that we can go and hang out with you?
Yeah. So my Instagram is at jbone89. And then I also have a website. So that's jordanbone.co.uk. So you can find everything on there too. Be great to see you guys.
Amazing. You guys go ahead and take a screenshot of this episode and share with us your biggest takeaways, breakthroughs. Send Jordan a ton of love. I'm going to make sure to post all those links that she mentioned in the show notes in case you're bad at spelling or don't know how to spell or anything like that, to make sure that you can find her on Instagram, on her website, definitely get her book. I'm so excited to dive into it, tag her when you read it, and all of that good stuff. Jordan, I so appreciate you. I just want you to know that you are such a light in this world and you have taught me so much. And I know that those of us listening to this podcast episode are going to take away so much wisdom from you, and your positivity is just so infectious. So thank you for coming on here and spending some time with us and sharing your beauty with us.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful right now. And you are definitely at the top of my gratitude list today.
Oh, as are you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. For the rest of you listening, I will catch you in the next episode. Mwah. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you absolutely loved what you heard today, be sure to share it with me by leaving a review on iTunes so that I can keep the good stuff coming your way. If you aren't already following me on social media, come soak up the extra inspiration on Instagram by following @ManifestationBabe or visiting my website at manifestationbabe.com. I love and adore you so much and can't wait to connect with you in the next episode. In the meantime, go out there and manifest some magic.